do you want to, we've already been talking about, do you want to talk about the other two movies, or do you just want to do our weekly roundup stuff?
Did you have anything you really wanted to say about, sorry, I had it on my phone.
Okay, let's do really quickly David Holtzman's Diary.
Yeah, we didn't ever say anything about that.
So David Holtzman's Diary came out in 1967. It's in black and white. It's low budget. It's a guy with a camera. He's walking around, and it's sort of set up as if it were his diary. Spoilers for the movie. I think it's not available to stream anywhere right now, but it was on Criterion. And he's essentially doing like a video log, which today we call a vlog. Mm-hmm. And it's about him, and it ends up being about him and his girlfriend and how he treats her and how he's treating these other women. And it's weirdly, I think, forward thinking, like watching, it's 1967. And I think in a way it's actually almost more it's like something you should watch now for two reasons. One is because it's kind of about, in a way, it's almost about white fragility and white, like it comes from a mainstream white culture aspect where it's like white fragility and white entitlement and those things, which I thought was interesting. And the second part is, this could be on YouTube.
Yeah.
This could be a YouTube thing.
Yeah.
Vlogging is huge on YouTube. I'm not super into vlogging, but I know that it's a thing. There's like a pod just on screen. It's great. Anyways, and there's even a scene where he's got this like new camera and he's testing it out by holding it above him, and it's this big wide angle fisheye lens. And I've seen like I watch a little bit of Casey Neistat sometimes, and you see him do that with cameras and things where he's like testing out a drone. I want like vloggers, like YouTube celebrities to watch David Holtzman's Diary, because like it is entirely kind of that aspect of things. Those are my two thoughts about it. I actually didn't realize it until just now. I actually really liked this movie. It is more of a Sarah movie. Sarah prefaced this for me by saying like, you should watch it. It's more of a Sarah movie though. And I'm like, you're right. It is kind of more of a Sarah movie, but there's these other aspects that really work for me.
Did you go into it? Did you know that it was not real, or did you think that it was?
I didn't know that it was not real, but I knew it wasn't real.
Yeah, it was interesting. I watched it knowing it wasn't real from the beginning, and like my significant other started getting really upset when he was like recording her sleeping.
Yeah.
Which is actually like, I was a little, I don't know. If I hadn't known that it was real, I don't know what I would have. I tend to mistrust all media anyway.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like it was like, well, if you think it's real, that's the right reaction to have as a man. So I appreciate that. I didn't pick up on the white fragility, masculine stuff quite as much as you. For me, it was more about kind of the navel gazing, inward looking. And it's interesting to me because, there's the Well Actually crew, where it's like Blair Witch is the first found footage picture movie anyone cares about, but there were ones before it. Do they really count? It makes me, like, this is so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like you said, it could be on YouTube now, and it really heralds. I want to use that word, although it sounds funny. What is to come. But like, how many people ever saw this movie before now? And that's the odd thing about some of the, there were found footage films before Blair Witch. How much did they really matter? But also, we don't want to give credit where it's due sometimes. So I don't, who knows who saw, things and.
Yeah,
it became a part of their work that led to, it's like the Searching for Sugar Man, Jodorowsky's Dune kind of situation where even something that's small may have this domino effect. But I don't know anything about this film's broader impact or anything like that, but it made me think about it because it was just, is there anything like it that came after? And I know it was making fun a little of like Warhol and Godard. Godard did a lot of like video journal type stuff, I think. I can't get myself to watch any more Godard. But so I'm which is a very long way of saying that I am curious.
I think the navel gazing, the like
It's
him
bigger
talking,
context.
the navel gazing where he's talking to himself, like that's all the vlog stuff. So yeah, I like that aspect too. And like I went into it not knowing the gimmick, and once I saw it, I'm like, it's called David Holtzman's diary, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. And it starts, and it's like, oh, it's a video log. And for like the first 5 minutes or 3 minutes, I was like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh no, this is made to look like it's a documentary. You know, it's made to look like it's real. It did, for whatever reason, I just figured it out quickly. And because of that, like when I kind of, there's an aspect to me where it's like, I like that he appreciates, you know, her in this perfect moment where she's sleeping and she's naked. It's very male, but I appreciate the, like, how there might be some good aspect there to it, but the recording it and all that is like, yeah, that's where it's like, oh yeah, that's questionable. And we're maybe supposed to think it's not because she's a model. And I like that he's saying like, no, and like in a weird way, that's about permission and about, what's it called?
Consent.
Consent. And I like that, like, again, this movie just feels like it's 63 years old? No, it's 53 years old. 53 years old.
Yeah.
And it weirdly just feels super modern and present. So that's a movie it's worth rewatching. That was really interesting.
I feel like we're having parallel conversations now. To go back to what I was saying a little bit in my quick fix, there's a word I first heard on the Akimbo podcast. I've heard it before, but I first really understood the meaning of on the Akimbo podcast, which is neophile, which is a personality type characterized by a strong affinity for novelty, which you've pointed out before that I will.
You like uniqueness.
Right. And in my defense, you know, when we're talking about the mainstream and its habit of ignoring stories that don't go with the homogenized mainstream, that might be useful to want to hear other stories that you don't need to hear. But that's kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier too, is like you have these kind of novel things that pop up, but it's only the neophiles that pay attention to it, kind of a thing. And that's what David Holzman, and then those people are the ones that are like, well, actually, this existed before. It's like the women's director thing, the women director thing, not women's directors, women director that you and I have talked about, where it's like, there's tons of women directors, not enough. I mean, it's still percentage-wise, but if we're talking about like a pool to pull from for awards and stuff, like they're there. It's
there.
Just
well, we had a week. I still remember this. For some reason, I always bring this up, but like we had a week where we saw 3 or 4 movies in theaters, and they were all directed by women, but they were all independent, small movies.
Yeah.
And it's like I love some of those movies, and here they are. Give them more money. Why do we only turn to the male directors, anyways? Sorry.
But some things are just ahead of their time, and that's what this feels like. It was something that was ahead of its time, and I'm going off on your tangent, so I'll end my parallel conversation here.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about David Holtzman's diary. If it pops up somewhere, I recommend it to anyone. I actually recommend this specifically to younger people, probably slightly older than me, but mostly younger than me.
And if you can recognize that painting, that young man in a cap, that's some kind of medieval Renaissance painting in the background of some of the pictures, driving me crazy. I swear I've seen it before, but it is not Pinky or Blue Boy, and I cannot recognize it.